53 BC, May. The richest man in Rome is leading 45,000 soldiers into the Syrian desert. Marcus Licinius Crassus has already conquered wealth and politics. He owns half of Rome. He financed Caesar. He backed Pompey. Now he wants the one thing money cannot buy: military glory. His target is the Parthian Empire, Rome's eastern rival, vast and wealthy, controlling the Silk Road from China to the Mediterranean. Crassus has been told the Parthians are not serious soldiers, that their army is light cavalry, horse archers, nothing Rome's heavy infantry cannot handle. His advisors warn him. His allies warn him. One Parthian-aligned king offers to guide him through Armenia, mountainous terrain where cavalry is useless. Crassus refuses. He will march the direct route, straight through the flat, open desert of Mesopotamia. His engineers look at the terrain and say nothing, because there is nothing to say. In 3 days, 20,000 of those 45,000 soldiers will be dead. Another 10,000 will be captured. The rest will flee into the desert and never fully regroup. But this is not a story about bad luck or bad leadership. This is a story about what happens when the most disciplined infantry force in history marches into the one environment where infantry cannot survive. The desert was not the enemy. The enemy knew exactly what the desert would do. To understand why Carrhae destroyed Rome, you need to understand one physical fact about the Roman legion. It was built to close distance. The entire Roman tactical system was designed around a single sequence: advance under missile fire, absorb casualties, close to 20 meters, lock shields, push forward with short swords at close range, where individual strength meant nothing and disciplined formation meant everything. At close range, Rome was almost impossible to beat. The legionary shield covered his body from shoulder to shin. His gladius, the short stabbing sword, was lethal in tight formation. His armor absorbed blows that would kill an unprotected man. But between 200 meters and 20 meters, the approach, Rome was vulnerable. Arrows, javelins, sling bullets could kill men crossing that gap. The solution was speed. Close the distance fast, absorb the casualties, get inside the enemy's range. This worked against every army Rome had ever faced, because every army Rome had ever faced eventually ran out of ammunition. A bowman carries perhaps 30 arrows. A slinger carries a bag of stones. The moment their ammunition was spent, the enemy had to close with Rome at close range. And at close range, Rome won. The Parthians had solved this problem in a way Rome had never encountered. They had not solved it with better bows. They had solved it with camels. The Parthian commander at Carrhae was Surena. He was 29 years old. He had studied Roman tactics with the same careful attention that Arminius had studied them in Germania. He understood exactly how Rome closed distance, exactly what the legionaries' approach looked like, exactly how the shield wall functioned. And he had designed a force specifically to defeat it. His army had two components. The first, 10,000 horse archers, light cavalry on fast horses carrying composite bows capable of firing accurately at full gallop. The Parthian shot, firing backwards while retreating at speed, was the most technically demanding mounted archery technique in the ancient world. These men trained their entire lives for it. The second component was the solution to the ammunition problem. 1,000 camels, each carrying nothing but arrows, enough ammunition to sustain continuous fire indefinitely. The moment Crassus's scouts reported back, it was already too late to change course. The Roman column was in flat, open desert with no cover, no water, and no way to force a close-range engagement against cavalry that simply rode away whenever Romans advanced. Surena formed his horse archers in a wide arc around the Roman column, not charging, not closing, just encircling. Then the drums started. The Romans had never heard Parthian war drums. The sound carried across the flat desert like thunder. Then the arrows started coming. Day 1, morning. Crassus orders his infantry into a wide defensive line, maximum frontage protecting the flanks. It is the correct response to cavalry. A long line is harder to encircle than a compact column. The Parthians do not charge the line. They ride along it, just outside effective javelin range, firing continuously. Crassus orders his son Publius to lead a cavalry charge and drive them off. Publius takes 1,300 cavalry, some Gallic horsemen, and charges directly at the nearest Parthian unit. The Parthians retreat. Publius follows. The Parthians retreat faster. Publius follows further. The distance between Publius and the main Roman line grows to 1 mile, then 2 miles. The Parthians stop retreating. They turn. Fresh horse archers appear from both sides. Publius finds himself surrounded in the open desert, 2 miles from the main Roman force, with cavalry that will not let him close and archers he cannot reach. He orders his infantry to form a defensive circle. The Parthian heavy cavalry, the cataphracts, armored riders on armored horses, charges the circle. The Roman shields hold, but the horse archers continue firing from outside the circle continuously, and the circle has nowhere to go. An hour later, a Parthian rider approaches the main Roman line and throws something toward the Roman formation. It is Publius's head. Crassus sees it from the command position. His officers watch him. He says only, "This grief is mine alone. Now, close the ranks." Day 1, afternoon. The main Roman force has been under continuous arrow fire for 4 hours. This had never happened to Rome before. Every previous enemy exhausted their ammunition within minutes. The Parthian camel train meant the arrows simply did not stop. Rider after rider galloped to the camels, collected fresh bundles, and returned to the firing line. The Romans held their shields up. This worked, mostly. But holding a shield at shoulder height for 4 hours under desert sun in full armor in heat that exceeded 40 degrees was destroying the army from the inside. Men were dying not from arrow wounds, but from heat exhaustion. The heavy Lorica segmentata armor that protected a Roman soldier in a short, intense battle became a furnace in extended desert combat. The second physical problem was water. The Roman column had carried water for a march across the desert. Standing stationary under fire for hours consumed that water faster than planned, and they could not move. Every time Roman units advanced toward the horse archers, the cavalry retreated. Every time Romans halted, the cavalry returned and resumed firing. The desert offered no cover, no high ground, no terrain feature that could break the encirclement. The army was trapped in open ground by an enemy that refused to fight at close range and had unlimited ammunition to sustain a battle it was winning without coming within sword range of a single Roman soldier. Crassus made the decision to retreat to the town of Carrhae overnight. Night. The retreat to Carrhae. Crassus leaves his wounded behind. There is no choice. The wounded cannot march, and carrying them would slow the column to a crawl in open desert at night with Parthian cavalry nearby. 4,000 wounded Romans are left on the desert floor. The Parthians kill them all before dawn. The main force reaches Carrhae, a small Roman allied town, and stops. They are inside walls now. The Parthian cavalry cannot charge walls. For the first time in 2 days, the arrows stop. But Carrhae is not a solution. It is a pause. The town has limited food and water for 0 additional soldiers. The Parthians surround it and wait. Every day inside the walls, the Romans consume supplies that cannot be replaced. Crassus holds a council of war. His options have narrowed to one: retreat north, toward Armenia, through the mountains where Parthian cavalry cannot operate. It is the route his ally had suggested before the campaign began, the route he had refused. He contacts a Parthian-aligned local guide named Andromachus to lead them north through the desert at night. His officers warn him not to trust Andromachus. Crassus overrules them. Andromachus leads the column in circles through the desert until dawn. When the sun rises, the Roman army is back where it started, in flat, open desert, surrounded by Parthian cavalry, with less food and water than the night before. Day 3, dawn. Surena sends a messenger to Crassus with an offer. Come and negotiate. The Parthian king has no desire for further bloodshed. A treaty is possible. Come and talk. Crassus does not want to go. His officers tell him he has no choice. The men are already breaking, small groups deserting into the desert overnight, the army dissolving from exhaustion, thirst, and hopelessness. He rides out to meet Surena. What happens next is disputed by ancient sources, but the result is not disputed. Crassus is killed. His officers are killed. The negotiations, real or pretended, end in a fight, and Crassus dies in the desert far from Rome, the richest man in the world, killed in a military campaign he should never have started. When his death reaches the main Roman force, the last organized resistance ends. Some units fight their way north to Armenia and survive. The legate Cassius leads 4,000 men through the mountains and reaches safety. Exactly the route Crassus had been offered at the beginning. Most do not make it. 10,000 Romans are taken prisoner and marched east into Parthian territory, where they are settled as a garrison on the eastern frontier near modern-day Turkmenistan. Those prisoners are the last record Rome has of the legions that marched into the Syrian desert. They are never recovered. They simply disappear into the east. In Rome, the reaction was not grief, it was shock. Rome had lost battles before. Rome had lost generals before. But Rome had never lost an army to an enemy that refused to fight at close range. The entire Roman military tradition was built on the assumption that an enemy eventually had to stand and fight, and when they did, Rome won. Surena had removed that assumption entirely. The Parthian horse archer did not need to close with Rome. He did not need to be brave or disciplined or willing to die. He needed only to ride, shoot, retreat, and reload. The camel train meant he could do this indefinitely. The flat desert meant Rome had no terrain to use as cover or leverage. For the first time, Roman military thinkers faced a question they had no answer to. How do you defeat an enemy who will not fight you on your terms? Rome spent the next century trying to answer this. They developed their own mounted archers. They recruited auxiliary cavalry from regions that produced skilled horse archers. They learned to force Parthian engagements in broken terrain where cavalry could not maneuver. But none of this recovered what was lost at Carrhae. The Roman standards, the eagle standards of the lost legions, were in Parthian hands. For Rome, this was not just a military defeat. It was a humiliation that touched the empire's sense of itself. Augustus Caesar would spend decades trying to get those eagles back through diplomacy. He eventually succeeded, but the men never came home. There is a story, unverified but persistent across ancient sources, about what happened to the Roman prisoners marched east into Parthia. 40 years after Carrhae, Chinese chronicles from the Han dynasty record an unusual incident on the eastern frontier near modern Uzbekistan. A garrison of soldiers was encountered who fought in a formation the Chinese described as fish scale, interlocking shields, men standing in tight rows advancing together. No Central Asian steppe army fought this way. No Parthian unit fought this way. The Chinese chroniclers did not know what they were looking at, but military historians reading those descriptions 2,000 years later recognized the formation immediately. It was the testudo, the Roman tortoise formation. shields locked overhead and on the sides, the standard Roman defensive posture under missile fire. If the identification is correct, and most historians consider it unproven but not impossible, it means that Roman soldiers taken prisoner at Carrhae in 53 BC ended their lives 40 years later, fighting for a Chinese warlord on the edge of the Gobi Desert, still using the only tactics they knew. Whether the story is true or not, it captures something real about Carrhae. The soldiers who marched into the Syrian desert behind Crassus did not come home. They disappeared into a world Rome could not reach, carried east by an enemy Rome could not catch, into territories Rome would never control. The desert swallowed them completely. Carrhae was not Rome's largest defeat. More Romans died at Cannae. More Romans died in the civil wars. But Carrhae was something different. It was the moment Rome discovered the limit of its own system. The Roman legion was optimized for one type of warfare: heavy infantry combat at close range on open terrain. Against any enemy willing to fight that battle, Rome was essentially unbeatable. The training, the discipline, the equipment, the command structure, all of it was designed for that specific engagement. Surena did not fight that battle. He fought a different one. He used terrain, logistics, and a weapon system Rome could not replicate quickly. And he dismantled 45,000 soldiers without ever letting them do the one thing they were designed to do. The camels were the key. Without unlimited ammunition, the horse archers would have exhausted their supply within an hour and been forced to close with Rome. With the camel train, they could sustain fire for days. One logistical solution transformed a skirmishing force into something that could destroy a Roman army. Military strategists still study Carrhae today as the foundational example of asymmetric warfare, using a completely different tactical system to defeat an opponent rather than a better version of the same system. Surena was executed by his own king shortly after the victory, eliminated as a political threat. He was 29 years old. He had just destroyed the Roman army with camels and arrows, and a desert that did not care who won. Sometimes, the greatest military minds in history disappear without monuments.